We are back, mate. It's now episode 9. No guests this week because we chose to just be you and me, one-on-one, talk about what's ever happening in the week that was, or the week that's going to be, or the month, or whatever you want to talk about, the year, day, minute, doesn't matter. How are you, mate? How's things going, and how's it all going?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Another week down. I'll be honest. I've enjoyed this week. There's been a lot of sport happening, so I've been head deep into that. You got the NBA playoffs. Absolutely unbelievable games this week. I don't know if you've been keeping track at all, Daz. So they've been unbelievable.
Monitoring a little bit. I've been monitoring a little bit. Yes.
Yes. And the NFL literally started back this week, so I've had my eye on that. Footy as always, and then the baseball has been going as well. So 4 sports, I've been head deep into them. So it's made the week go actually reasonably quick for me, which has been fantastic. But the family's going well as well, so it's good.
Well, it's good you got something to be engaged with, and the family's well. Good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a good outlet right now. It'll do for now. I miss being able to get out and about and be on a basketball court, teaching and that sort of thing. I miss that a bit, especially now that the weather's getting better. Because you sort of move into this time of the year. September would usually be the time for finals if your team's sort of in that sort of realm, I guess. And then once you sort of get out of September, you don't have too long to sort of reset. You're in tryouts mode again for the next upcoming season. So it's usually an exciting time of year, but it's very different now.
Yeah, look, and we see it, and we understand exactly more what's going on, but the kids will just be going, "What's going on?" When's it going to happen? What's going to happen? And it just must be so hard for them, and I feel for them, and then I feel for the parents and the family who are trying to keep them engaged and motivated to just keep chipping away at it. And the kids are probably saying, "I'm done. There's nothing to go for, nothing to play for."
That's right.
Look, doesn't make it fact, but yes.
Yeah. No, but the year 11s and 12s who are approaching what would be exam periods and whatnot, and unprecedented sort of times for those guys right now trying to go into those. A lot of pressure as always, and probably there might be an element of even a bit more pressure this year given the way things have gone. So we're thinking of those guys. We were just talking before about the young preps. So, gosh, no real foothold in the school year for those little ones. And let alone all the other grades as well. It's been incredibly tough, and families are doing it tough. Parents having to be teachers having to, teach online. It's not the same. But we credit everyone who's tried their hardest to adapt. It doesn't have to be perfect, but all you can do is your best.
Yes, mate, and it's hard to be also upbeat when you're also surrounded by such negative platform with social media right now. We're all trying to hang in there. Everyone's saying, fight out, stay strong, but social media is our networking platform to stay engaged with the community and people. Yet every time you turn it on, there just seems to be there's this happening, that's happening. There's theories. There's whether they're right or wrong. There's opinions whether they're right or wrong. There's I like the fact that people think we're in please, I'm not supporting anyone government but potential dictatorship. Mate, I'm seeing people in the community push dictatorship in their view and what they think we're doing and what they're not doing and how they think they're bigger and far greater than the community. Now, they're the things I just think, it's just hard to be surrounded by that. And while we're on this, because we haven't really spoken about what we're going to talk about tonight. And I think maybe we're talking about emotions and negative impacts and the feelings, and all these great people are saying, look, get out there, help out, reach out. We're all there for each other, but again, we know people are struggling to reach out or how to express themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how if you want to go down this path, mate, because again, it can be raw, it can be real, but it's real in a way that could be down to the bone. Yep. You've experienced some things. I've experienced some things. I thought maybe we can share what we felt. How we went through it and all that stuff. And if we can sort of share our feelings, I'm not saying it's a feel sorry story. It's just we're still, our hearts are beating. We're still pushing forward, but we have struggled in ways that probably don't understand. But I'm happy to share it. If you want to share it, which might let other people get a feel that, okay, well, that sort of helps me because now I know maybe how to express it, how to explain it, or
Yeah, I agree, Dad. Look, yeah, absolutely, and it's probably something. I mean, we've been doing this as our 9th episode now. Probably haven't really delved into the why we're doing this. So I think it'll be good. I think it's now probably a good time to do that. So let's do that. Let's explore, probably some of the hardships we've faced and why we're doing this, how we've sort of come through it.
All right. So let's start. I'll throw at you first if you want. Just what it takes us, and probably a few probably would know a little bit more about what I have experienced, but they probably don't know to the depth of it. But I think you're probably a bit more of the okay, Aaron, what's he going through? What's happened to him? And maybe they don't know enough. So let's just put it out there. 2 parts, maybe 3 ads is, if you don't mind me saying, your lovely, beautiful wife through some pretty in-depth cancer issues, which I'll get to expand on. You also found a stage where you actually experienced the word depression. That was after. I'm not really sure if you knew you were going through it then, before, during, or hit you at once, or what brought that on. But we want to talk about your wife. It's not about Beck. I love Beck. You know how I feel about her.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get a feel of what you felt, what you went through, because that's the concept. We'll touch on Beck. She's never ever going to do that conversation, but explain that what it was like to go through as a father, as a husband, but also a person that also had to have his own personal outlet to get away from it. To, how do I deal with this? How do I cope with this? How do I, what is the way? Because everyone's got their view and opinion, but there's no book. So go raw, and I'll ask the questions I think will need to be asked when I think it's the right time. But start off, mate. And tell me about the feelings and thoughts and what you went through.
Yeah, look, there was definitely no playbook, Daz, that's for sure. So literally for Beck, it was a routine stretch on the couch that just found a lump in the left breast. And it was actually one of those things where it was just that oh shit sort of moment straight away. Just a bad feeling. And sometimes those things, it's amazing. You talk about gut feelings, and sometimes you're told to follow your gut, and our gut feeling on this one was this might not be too good, even before seeing anyone, specialists or anything like that, before even getting a scan. So we went through that whole rigmarole. Our worst fears were confirmed. Breast cancer, left breast, and to get into Peter Mac to start treatment pretty quickly, or as quick as possible. Again, her type of cancer, nothing genetically related. She went through all those sorts of tests. But I guess in that initial period, the shock, it cuts so deep. For me in particular, I'll never forget the day, getting the official diagnosis, sitting in the doctor's room there, both of us. For me, absolutely devastated, teary. We were both. I was more teary than what Beck was. I will say that. That's how tough she is. Both knowing that the fight that was going to be ahead for both of us, and I feel a little bit ashamed because I couldn't even drive home that day. She actually ended up driving home. How about that? So that was something that was incredibly tough, and I wish I could have been strong enough on that day in particular. I couldn't even drive the car home. So you're left immediately thinking, how is this even fair? You think the world's not fair. It sort of just confirms that sort of theory for you a little bit. So, and then you have all these thoughts a million miles an hour all at once, really. How are we going to get through this? Are we going to be okay? Is Beck going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? We had a son starting school. How's that going to affect him, his life? Those are the immediate sort of thoughts there. And look, when we started to go through the treatment and whatnot, and Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre is absolutely amazing. They're amazing people that work in there, and what they do day in, day out for hundreds of thousands of Australians is unbelievable. you go through the process month to month and week to week. Chemotherapy treatment, that was horrendous. Rebecca lost her hair. She's crook, not well. So having to, I guess, be there for her through that, as well as just keep a routine about our general normal lives. So it was all just completely, it was like 1,000 things at once. 1,000 things at once going through your head every day. Sleepless nights, worries, what's next. Your loved one is confronted with, something you wouldn't even think about so early on in our lives, being only 30-year-olds, is your partner going to make it out? The whole aspect of confronting mortality at 30 years of age is just gut-wrenching sort of thoughts. I remember seeing, because I used to watch so much cricket growing up, Jay McGrath didn't make it through all of her treatment through breast cancer and whatnot. And that was probably my reference point to breast cancer. I know my dad's mum went through breast cancer as well, and she's fortunate enough to be a survivor. So I knew a little bit about it, but just never understood I use the word, it's horrendous sort of treatment. You wouldn't wish it on anyone. Just the chemo. We finished the chemo sort of treatment, come out the other side of that, get further assessed, and finding more potentially precancerous tissue there. So then the decision was made to have a single breast removed, just to basically eliminate that. And then once that was officially done, was then go through radiation treatment, which targeted lymph nodes and whatnot as well, and generally the scar tissue around where the breast was. So that's 20 odd days from memory of just radiation treatment. And once you start, you sort of shouldn't stop or can't stop. Despite how bad the wound may start to look, because the wound starts to open up. So it was pretty graphic. Just absolutely devastating sort of thing to go through day in, day out. And I was, again, I'm not the one physically going through it. I'm on the outside looking in. So it's like you're behind a bit of a glass, so to speak. You're sort of from the outside of the box looking in, seeing the one that you love go through so much, just to try and stay alive. It floors you.
On that, though, as the thing I want to talk about is horrific, the feelings of what she's gone through personally, and you can't even explain it. That's got to, even then, even if you explain it, it's got to come. Her, the way she explained, you'd actually get a feeling of it. But what people tend to not realize is the partners, the family that are around them, trying to support them, the pain they suffer. Yeah. It's an emotional heartache. It can be physically impacted, it's mentally impacted, socially impacted. You're trying to be normal as you can, but you can't because you're hiding the emotion. You're trying to be strong. You're trying to do all these things that put so much weight on your shoulders.
Yeah,
these are the things that look at COVID-19. It's not the same story, but the feelings are similar regarding uncertainty, lack of sleep, stresses, the worries, the pain, the suffering. Because I've seen people painfully hurting, whether it be financially, physically, mentally, all different categories. But they still are feeling certain feelings. And I'm just watching these people just fall apart, fade away. I've seen other people stay strong, hold strong, but the ones who are holding strong are starting showing signs of weakness. Not in a wrong way. Yeah. Weakness to where they're starting to crumble.
Yeah.
So going back to you personally, because I love Beck, and like I said, I want to get your real emotions. What were you feeling? How'd you learn to deal with it when, again, I don't care what anyone says, mate. You could have 3 or 5 couples going through the same diagnosis, yet you're all going to deal with it differently. Yeah. There's not one book that says, Aaron, this book's for you. Couple B, this book's for you. How'd you do it?
Literally a day-to-day proposition, Daz, in terms of how did I do it. To this day, I probably don't know. I think I spoke a while ago about just routine. So going to work pretty much every day, other than when I physically had to be home to look after Becca, and she went to work pretty much nearly every day where she could, apart from days where she wasn't feeling great at all and she literally probably couldn't move. So it was literally a day-to-day process, just getting the kid to school, picking him up, all those sorts of things. Being a family weekend at mealtime. For me, I was still strongly into the coaching at Big V level, VJBL level, and I kept up those commitments as best I could. I think I missed one game as a coach for that. So I was lucky to have people I could lean on. Fred Hunter was my assistant coach at that time with the 18s group, so he was instrumental in helping me through an incredibly tough time as a coach. So I really do thank him forever. And we've got a strong friendship to this day. So it's awesome. We always will. My family were great, but I didn't really open up too much. That's the honest truth. I didn't open up too much. I just battled on. I took each day on. I probably emotionally collapsed after we got the official all clear from everything. And that's when I broke down, right after it all sort of been, done and dusted, where Beck got the LA okay. That's where I broke down. It all sort of just came over me like a wave.
So you broke down, which makes sense. You're trying to hold strong. You try and feel, and you don't want to feel as if, I shouldn't feel hurt because my wife's going through it. Which another thing, people will have their view on that. That you're not going through it. You should be you should be the one that should be able to get through it. No, I'll understand that until they've gone through it. So Beck has done very well. I love the way she's held strong and found ways to use this in a positive.
Yeah.
But then something happened to you. Yeah. I'm not sure what's tied to. Well, I know a bit about you, Az, but I always want to make sure that you say it. The links was a part of it. Was it because it was a build-up? Did you miss things because you're so focused on other things? What happened to you when you found out you had depression? Which was how far after?
Literally, we're talking about it probably a good 18 months after Beck got the all clear, at least, I think. Yeah, it was quite at least 12 to 18 months after everything in that sort of sense. So it was literally for me, something just wasn't right for a while. And my doctor said I probably let it go too long before seeing him and probably getting that official diagnosis where you sit down and you talk about how you've been feeling and what you've sort of been going through. So it was pretty much a good 3 month sort of period there from late last year into the early part of this year. Again, all before COVID sort of stuff even sort of came about for us here in Australia. For me, the key trigger point was I can't pinpoint any event really or experience that just made me start to feel like I wanted to just close off from the outside world. So basically for me, the feelings were I wanted to be home. I didn't really want to go out and socialise. Some things started to become a chore. The things that I love started to become a chore.
Yep.
So that was the key trigger point for me. Another example was, my 8-year-old son was able to actually ask, "Dad, why are you sad?" So that was probably another key trigger point as well. That said to me, "Wow, clearly, if it's being observed by an 8-year-old, clearly I've got to actually go and do something about this, and I've got to actually confront it and acknowledge it." Because I wasn't acknowledging it, was probably a bit of denial. So like, I'm maybe just going through a bit of a down phase. People go through up and downs all the time where you feel great about yourself and then not so great about yourself. That happens. It's life, I think. But this one was more deep than that. And I'm an introvert probably more naturally than an extrovert. But I was very introverted and didn't really want to socialize. So, to the point where I wouldn't really want to speak with any of my family. My mum or dad might call me. I wouldn't answer. I probably wouldn't really turn their calls for maybe a day or so, day or two, 3. I think we had a social event one time with, some really close friends who we've been friends with for many years. And I didn't really want to go. Just really wanted to stay home. Yep. So that's not like me. I'm never like that. I love getting together with people and being social on that that sort of front there. So those were the key things there for me.
So the process, what steps did you take? Like, you've gone through so much in, I'll say, the 2 years with Beck and Paddy, maybe a bit longer. Then you've got what you're going through is a lot of people are going through this right now, whether it be depression, whether it be pain from something else, or they're going through something during COVID, and there's so much going on. What steps did you take, or what steps could you take? How'd you go about it?
As in going forward? From
moving forward, like,
acknowledging it?
Acknowledgement, talking, opening. I know that you spoke to people, but to actually acknowledge it and start to move forward, you've actually got to act on what you're feeling. It's okay to say, hey, Az, I've got depression. This is how I feel. There's two parts. I think it's okay. You're talking about it, but you're not actually acting on moving forward with that. You've spoken about it, but you haven't started to find ways to move forward with it. How did you start to move forward once you started talking to people?
So I mean, once I actually probably mustered up a little bit of courage, really, that's probably the word I'm looking for, to actually speak with my GP, who's been my GP since I was born, basically, about where I'm at and how I'm feeling.
Hold on 1 second. What word did you just say?
Yeah, I just said courage. That's right.
Hang on. Let's show this what we spoke about today.
Yeah.
Courage. That fish is in its little bowl. It's decided to have the courage to go out into the big open waters, the unknown. And therefore, courage is the commitment to begin without any guarantee of success, and fear the regret of I could have, should have, but didn't. That's only there because we're going to show this presentation next week. But what a coincidence. You just raised the word that just suited at the time of that. So there you go, courage.
There you go.
Sorry, mate.
I literally had to work up the courage and be vulnerable, because I'm not the most vulnerable person. I generally keep my emotions, my thoughts, if I'm hurt or upset by something, to myself, or really confide in maybe one or two people. Beck's probably one of them. But literally having to be vulnerable with someone and say, look, I think something's not right. So I did that, and from that day, it actually took a bit of a weight off my shoulders, really, and that's something that I have to work through every day. And look, to be honest, now I actually do feel like myself. I've got things in place to help me through every day, and I feel like I'm back to some. I say normal. I don't know what normal is, but I feel like how I was before I sort of got into that sort of depressed sort of mindset there.
You're more present. That's what you mean.
More present. Yeah, I was basically, if I probably didn't acknowledge things, I probably would have become a recluse or something like that. Really reclusive.
Did you possibly lose when we going back to present and feeling normal? Because it's good that you're feeling back to who you felt you have been or you want to be. Did you lose your senses in that time? What I mean by that is you couldn't smell those things, the flavors, the taste of the food, the enjoy, the feel, the touch, and that's being present. All your senses are working and fully functional.
I'll look.
Because some people have that effort where they start to lose
the senses. Look, it was more or less being present for things, present mindset. It would be, but everything else, food, taste, touch, smell, those things were all, I think, still there. I can't really recall saying that they weren't, but it was more or less just the mindset around I'd rather not be here, or I'd rather not be going to this, or I couldn't really stay focused on something. So that was pretty much it for me. Yeah. So again, it was, like I said, I still can't find to this day exactly what triggered it. It could have been who knows? It could have been a build up of many things over the journey, the stresses and whatnot. I don't know. The mind, I mean, it's a fascinating sort of thing, how the brain and the minds can sort of work.
Absolutely. And because you've got a build up of emotional things have gone on, and maybe your body's gone, hey, I need this. It doesn't mean that you've got a mental health issue where that word depression is stuck you for life.
No.
It doesn't mean that you were down and out. Yeah. The word is commonly used now, depression. I'm nothing against the word, because I know there's mental health issues. And all I'm trying to say is some people just need to realize that, hey, are tough times. It is not going to be easy. You're probably going to be a little bit depressed about it, a bit sad about it, but it doesn't mean you've got a mental health issue.
No.
then again, on the flip side, it could go into that direction where it becomes a mental health issue if you can't find ways to control it, deal with it, or even try and cope with it. I just wonder whether people just say, "Oh, I've now got mental health," or maybe I'm just struggling. Maybe I'm just finding hard that the surroundings around me aren't normal, so I don't feel normal, and I don't think I expect you to be normal. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's exactly right. That's the mindset I sort of took out of it, Daz. It wasn't something where I look at myself in the mirror every day and go, I've got depression. It's not like that at all. For me, it's literally I feel great. I feel like I'm normal, and I've maybe just got to. It's literally for me just managing a mindset. That's really all that it really is. I don't say I have to work terribly hard at it day to day these days now. That's not it at all. It's more or less probably just having a real good sense of conscious of where you're at, mentally day to day, if that makes sense. So I don't label myself. I don't hold it against myself or anything like that, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's spot on. That you just said the word label. I mean, I just wonder at times whether people are worried about being labelled because, especially now in COVID-19, I'm depressed. Am I going to be now remembered when I go into my workforce or when I go for a job interview or when I try and do something different? They're going to say in my history, do you have depression? Well, no, I was just depressed during COVID-19, like most population, except the ones who think they've got it right and got conspiracy theories who aren't suffering depression. They've got their apparently shit together. But besides those people, the ones who are truly, genuinely taking this seriously and are really taking, trying to do the right things are the ones who are really feeling the impact.
Exactly.
I just wonder whether the word label is what people are worried about. I'm happy to talk to you, but I'm scared of being labelled. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is employers can't actually ask that. So, I mean, if people are worried about that affecting their employment, they shouldn't because it's not a question that can technically be asked. But look, I can't speak for everyone because, I'm very conscious it affects everyone differently.
Spot on.
And I've known people who have suffered from depression and anxiety and all those sorts of things, those sorts of mental issues over my many years of being an adult. So it's different for everyone. That's what I know. That's what I know. But for me, it's not something I label myself with. It's not something I carry, with me consciously every day. It's just more or less just understanding where my mindset's at any particular moment in time or day, if that makes sense. So,
spot on. I mean,
I guess
I feel I'm scarred from it. That's my problem. That's why I have a different sort of label. So I don't care if you call me whatever you call me. I know what I have and what I've got to deal with and what I cope with. But I've also got a scar that I've got to carry and a burden I've got to go that every day of my life. Where some people are just feeling struggle through the now. I'm just struggling through the day because of it's financial or whether it be I'm struggling at work or whether the environment, COVID-19. These are these things that I just want people to open up, talk it up, and just don't worry about being the stigma of labeling that you're this or that. Just talk it, open it, and just see if there's any way we can help re-navigate it. And if it is become a mental health issue, then you know where to go and who to see. Where at the moment, start the conversation, strike the conversation, get some form of engagement, and just get a feel of what's coming out. You might just find I just need to release some tension or from frustration.
That's right.
Call someone today. I know they were frustrated, and we're trying to think logical, but we can't think logical in today's society because everything's going on. But you just said that we just changed the way we spoke. It went from a frustrating to we just started talking. It became a normal conversation, not a stressful conversation. And a fun conversation because she's a shit stirrer and I shit stir her, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Does that make sense?
That's it. That's why it's so important. We get. I think generally we get caught up in some people get caught up in. I've got so many friends, but how many true friends do you have? A small circle that you can confide in and actually work through your own problems with, or that sort of thing. I mean, for you, Daz, we've spoken about me for a bit now and my sorts of issues that I've had, but I can't say I've had a physical trauma I've had to deal with like yourself. So I guess for our audience here, and some may know, some may not know, the sorts of things you've had to go through over the past, 15 years, 15, 20
years? So it's probably more predominantly 15 years.
15 years now, isn't it?
Actually, 17 years now. Which doesn't feel, oh, that's so long ago, because every minute of those days and every days of those weeks and every weeks of those years or months have been struggles in some form, whether it be a big struggle, little struggle, 30 seconds in one day, all day. It varies, but it's always there. It's lingering. I can't erase it. People tell me that you must erase, forget your past and move on. I'm sorry. Some of those quotes just don't work. They're not real. That's an analogy day where you think, it looks good in paper.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you this story. And when you get that story, you think, oh, yeah, okay, I get it now. I can't erase my past.
Yeah.
I wish what didn't happen. So, as everyone knows, I was in a boat, and unfortunately, there was 2 died, and I was the only survivor. I don't want to go too much into that in detail, but feelings I went through is, I went through post-traumatic stress disorder, which makes sense. Depression makes sense because I was stuck in a rut and very sad about what happened and not unsure of, what do I do? There's no book. I can't go forward. I can't find. I went to 4 psychologists in a week of the accident, and the first 3, I'm looking at them going, I don't understand how you're going to help me. You don't even look like you had life experiences. You've just all got it from a book. Nothing disrespectful. My son's doing psychology. They got to start somewhere. But my time at that moment, I'm just like, just let me read the book, and I'll extract the information I need, and I'll find the paragraphs or the key sentences that might help me through. But I went through dark days, and I went through questioning, my sense of belonging, guilt. I didn't feel guilty, but everyone kept asking me, did I feel guilty that I survived? So then I had to start thinking, well, maybe I should start feeling guilty.
That'd be something incredibly confronting to sort of, I don't, did you even think of that at the start, or was it more or less when people started to bring that up, you go, oh, well, hang on, maybe I've.
Never. It's like when people say for a game, do you feel nervous? Well, no, but I do now because you just made me feel nervous. It's it's the kind of things where I get what people try and do. There's an analogy where people say, because one of them was one of my best mates, very close to me, and was also dating Karen's sister, which means even more closer from school days to as we got older into family days. Is only the good die young.
Yeah,
it makes sense to me, because it's okay to say, oh, let's try and that's a comforting word, but it's not really, because I'm still here. So at the time, I'm thinking, well, am I worthy? Am I guilty? Because people say, do you ever feel guilty? I'd even sit in a room where people would be talking, and I'm there saying exactly what happened. I was the only one that was there. So I was a coroner who'd done their due diligence on research and doing all the things that need to be done in the investigation. I know what happened.
Yeah.
But people will tell them the story, and there's so many versions of the story. It was amazing. So then you start to question, well, how's it perceived to be? Hence why I use the word perception a lot. How it comes across a lot. Sometimes, and I still get it wrong. Sometimes I think I'm doing the right advice and I've worded it wrong. I try and be careful in the analogy to the person, what they're going through. And because the person's going through that, doesn't mean I know exactly what they're feeling. So I try and help them through what they're feeling, but not how I feel, to try and make them, but I might share my story, I might share my emotion.
Yep.
But dark days, mate, you have thoughts that you don't want to be thinking. The degree of those thoughts, they were never going to ever be even coming close to acted upon, but they were thoughts I shouldn't have been having. I was every time I woke up, there was question marks popping up everywhere. The direction, I use the word navigate now, the storm, because you're in a storm, and I use the analogy of that movie Perfect Storm. You come out of the storm, you haven't survived it, because you got to go back in it to get home.
Yeah,
you're having to go back into a storm to go back to a safety net, wherever that safety net was, whether it be home. I had to go to a couple of health farms because I was struggling. I was making some decisions that were erratic and responsive or spontaneous or reactive, and they
so was that because, like, for you, were you more or less living on the day-to-day? Like, I don't know if you tried to put a plan in place to try and work through how you're feeling, or was it more or less you weren't even in that headspace to logically try and put that together?
The issues with all, actually, well, I like the way you've asked that, because part of me to say this: when you see someone, you can only see them and tell them so much in a certain time, but they've also got to get a history background on you, who you were, what your upbringing was, what your family support is, and before you start to actually deal with the situation, they got to work out: do you divulge information? Do you hide information? Do you say what you want to say? The good psychologists will work it out, but it takes time. So as it takes time, I'm still dealing with real life issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't actually say, okay, well, I'm focusing on my rehab because I'm dealing with the accident. I'm dealing with the memories. I'm dealing with decisions. I'm dealing with being a father. I'm dealing with being a father, partner. I have my own business. I'm doing all these different categories and more, and subcategories of those categories. You just can't solve it. It's not going to happen. So this is why I get worried about when people say they hold it in and don't express, because I did it for years.
Mm-hmm.
But then what happened was I thought that I'd be fine. So I started I can do this myself. Stubborn, I don't know. Was it the fact that I didn't want to share the burden with others and think I need to carry the burden and not make them go through the emotion? But I was making that worse because they were hurting by not being able.
Yeah. You mentioned a good word around burden. We say reach out all the time and you're not a burden. But that's probably the one of the first things that I'll speak from my experience, and it's different from yours, obviously. So I know that is that I didn't want to be a burden at the start because I knew something was not quite right, but I wouldn't really confide in anyone that, hey, this is what I think I'm going through. And I thought I was a burden. Like, for example, my parents, who I would say I'm incredibly close with, my mum has MS.
Right. Yep.
And my dad, I mean, they live by themselves. My dad takes care of her, and he does a great job at that. And I didn't really want to tell them where I was at because I didn't want to be a burden. And I'm their son. So, I mean, you speak about burden for yourself, and you wear so many hats with what you do and where you were at that point in your life. I can only imagine just the absolute sort of headwind that you felt like you were in with, you talk about that perfect storm analogy. It's a good movie, by the way, very sad, but when they're going up that last big wave, is that that the sort of way that you were living day to day, do you feel?
Yeah, it's another analogy because that wave and that moment and the storm are going back is, I was in survival mode.
Yeah.
But there is no survival kit.
No,
but what happened is when I felt like I was getting better, when I thought I was getting better in different areas, and you got to remember, if you can fix one area, it might fix 3 others. That's why when we do goal seeks at TS, we say instead of worrying about you got 5 things you got to try and fix to make you better, how about if I tick box number 4? That might automatically help 3, 2, and 1. That's how I started with transition sports processes. I think do help, but that's from real life learnings.
Yeah,
the survival kit where I'd go to camps and say, mate, you know what? You make me feel so good, and they've been good, and they knew that this is how you go. You come up with these analogies, and they bring you back and give you a bit more spring in your step. But you've got to go through your agitation and frustration, but you've got to express it. So you got to express exactly how you feel, not what you think they want to hear, and even the ones close to you. You can't beat around the bush. If you feel in a certain way, you need to express it. But the way you express it is the problem. How it comes across, where I think I'm just venting, but they come across that I'm yelling or whatever. No, I'm just trying to talk to someone. So the survival kit was, I'd say to them is, it's like you tell me it's the last mountain I'm going to climb. So you know what? I'm so excited. I'm throwing off my backpack. I'm taking my boots off. And I'm going to take everything, all the stuff I don't need anymore, because it's just been a weight. I've had to carry this kit, that survival kit, that survival kit. So I get to the top of a mountain, and what you all forget, because I'm still dealing with other things, is I've no longer got any more survival kits because I'm so excited about getting to the top of the mountain. But guess what's in front of me? Another one.
Yeah.
And then that's what deflates you. You think, well, how am I going to do this? I'm tired. I want to start a whole new leaf of life, and I'll turn over a new leaf. Sorry. And then you start thinking that way again. So then it becomes a hard slog again. So all the good work you've done brings you back down again. So that's why I don't know what's right and wrong, because we're all different in how we deal with things, and I'm pretty emotional. But my survival kit, at the time, I didn't know that. I had a health condition which then come about because of the accident, and I had to shut down. I had to take a year off work of my own business. And I thought, what am I going to do here? Because I can't keep physically doing what I'd love to do, and that's being a tradesman.
Yeah.
That's how transition sports started. And then I started, hang on, I think I'm good with kids. I'm good with developing people, and I'm using my history to help them, and I still get the emotions wrong and still come across wrong, but the outcome normally 9 times out of 10 I get it right.
Yeah,
that's how transition sports work. So I fuel my desire. The more I help people, the more it helps me, and the better version. Yeah. So I've used it that way. For you, it might be, you've got your processes. Mine's very scary because there might be a day where I can't help anyone today. So you got to work out whether that's going to be a negative or a positive. But as I've got older, I found ways I can feel it coming. I know how I feel. I know I'm flat today. It's rest day. If the mind's crying for rest, you need to rest it. If the body needs some downtime, it needs some downtime.
Yeah.
But you just can't get stuck in the rut and the habit where it starts to consume you and overtake you. And it does that when you start to not express or not open up or not. I'm an open book. I'll express it. I'll cry. I'll say how it is. I'll be confident. I'll be upbeat. I'll be out there. But I'm also going to say that I'm going to tell you how I'm emotionally feeling, and I'm okay to share that. I'm not ashamed of it. And I think the word burden,
yes,
and also we at times be confused with, or they're ashamed.
Yeah.
Be proud that you're acknowledging it, and you're prepared to try and do something about it. Be proud, not ashamed, and not a burden.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of a watershed moment, isn't it? It's amazing. Like, it's not going to work every day. No. It may not work every day, but you're going to have times where you go, if you can actually just express it to someone who, without judgment, they don't even have to really say anything. It's just more or less for them to listen. That can be such a watershed moment for you, isn't it? Can be such a weight off the shoulders at times.
Actually, stop there for a sec then, Naz, because we're talking about feelings now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. We're going in the feeling sort of stuff here.
We're going to do for next week, or we do leadership again. Let's just show this page one. So, when I'm going through and what you're going through, how you think will influence what you believe, and what you believe will influence how you feel, and how you feel will create your behaviors.
Yeah.
The thought's the biggest one. If it's negative or you're struggling, well, then you got to work out what are you believing in. Survival. Am I going to get through this? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to trust that person? Yeah. And then, it starts to mingle and entangle with all your feelings. And then the problem we have is our behaviors.
Behavior, that's right.
We either shut up, we don't talk, we close up, we react.
That's right.
We do all the things that opposite to what we're trying to do.
And
we get confused with it all.
You get confused with it. I think. We talk about, well, maybe an example was a bit, and we all love Danny Frawley, for example. But the person you saw on the TV and the radio, or heard on the radio, was the larrikin, the joker. Absolutely, was like so funny, a funny guy. But when that camera's off, when that microphone's off, he was going through absolutely something that, again, it's his own personal thing. It's not comparable to anyone. But that's the thing. Like he probably had what he was going through with his feelings and thoughts and whatnot influenced his behavior, where to a point maybe he had to just try and mask and switch so often in between sort of, I don't know, different roles. Maybe it just was such a burden for him.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to put on a facade, mate, just to get through the day.
That's right. That's what I was looking for, facade. Yeah.
What? This is not saying that it can't, but what people sometimes find is sometimes you got to be someone else to get through the day.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason, if you're a media person, that's it. That'd be. I couldn't even imagine when the spotlight's on you every day. I'm lucky. I've had some time with Danny. I've had some beers with Danny, and I remember a phone call when he told me about some thoughts, and he goes, "It's just, it just frustrates him." And and I've been lucky to see the side of him, but I can also see what he gave and the passion he had, and he's found. But going back to the facade is when there's so many people watching. It's just like me. If I go to Treasures in Sports, I'm gonna try and inspire. We've got 160 members, let alone school programs, let alone if I'm at a club or whatever. We're just talking about them. I've got to walk in and pretend at times to be upbeat, engaged, energized, because I need these kids to be wanting to. If I walk in flat, they're going to feel flat, and the environment and culture will be different.
That's right. Yeah.
But what I've been lucky to do over the course, I think, with the majority of our members is they start to know my story. So if I'm sore, I might do more verbal coaching. I might do practical coaching. They know when my change and how I am, and if I'm really flattened out, I may not be at transition, but the coaches will know when it's okay. Daz is struggling a little bit. He just needs some quiet time, downtime. Or I might be there and say, look, guys, I just need some down. I'm opening. I'll let them know. I'm not. But there's times I've had to have the facade until I can explain to those members what I am or what I stand for or what I go through.
Yeah.
And until that happens, you may need to carry the facade
That's it.
To get through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's right. And in carrying that facade, sometimes it's so energy spending. Like you spend so much energy, it's tiresome. It is. And again, I relate to my own experiences as a coach. Again, you got to walk in the gym for practice and games, and you got to actually be upbeat and full of the energy. So that sort of translates to your team. So it's incredibly tiresome. Absolutely, those facades.
And that's why, if you're in a group organisation in our workforce, and we'll talk about the Hot Mo group last week, we'll talk about you and me and our teams, and that's why you got to be true. If you can be honest about what you're feeling.
Yeah, you got to be authentic now. I think people see through the BS pretty quick this day and age, and it's a feeling. It's like a cancer in the respect you talk about team chemistry and the way teams gel together. If the coach isn't authentic and they can't get a handle of the coach, they aren't going to play for you. That's just the bottom line. And if you can't form relationships with the people you work with day to day, it's just not going to work out at all. You're not going to have any chemistry. You're not going to like each other. You're not going to be motivated. So, you got to be authentic. You got to be real as best you can.
And that's why my little fire in my belly really gets turned, and I get angry and frustrated. I'm not angry now. I'm just feeling how I'd feel is why I take. And don't get me wrong, I've done things wrong with coaching. I've probably gone the wrong way about something and not realizing I've tried this and it hasn't worked. But I've always tried to find the way to understand and reconnect with the person that I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so careful and sorry, that's why I'm so caring about understanding when a kid walks in.
Yeah.
They might not be a shithead or a pain in the ass or hard deal type of person because something's happened or something's happening. And if we can help with that, it's going to make what we do together more memorable, more inspirational, and better for the team and the culture that we create. But we walk in, if you try and have a facade, what do you think in the team those kids are doing? When someone goes to work, they have to go with the facade at times because there's something's happened last night or something's happening on the way there, and they're trying to be someone that they're trying to hold in, they're trying to work through the day, and yet there's triggers. How they react, how they respond, and how they speak. This is different. What's unusual, instead of being judged, you want to be understood.
Yeah.
So it's the best way to be not judged and understood, open up. So if I walk in today at work and I've had a bad day, hey guys, I'm having a bad day. I might need to get, just be understanding with me today, or
that's right.
Or you actually you piss me off. You know what I mean? Like you can be genuine there. You don't have to. It's not all mental health. There are reasons to be. Sorry, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's right. So I mean, if your behaviour, if you go too far the other way, and you're not sort of given a true indication you're at, and you act out, or something happens, and then you get judged. You sort of do get judged on what you just did or how you just said something, and it's not the real you. So it's great that, again, we talk about you're not a burden when you open up in that respect, so people can know where you're at, so people can be there for you. It doesn't mean they have to give advice. They can only just have to listen.
And that's why the key word when we hear, we don't know what we don't know.
That's right.
We can only act on what we see.
Exactly.
That's half the problem. And don't worry, a lot of people have no qualms expressing their feelings on social media, which is doing my head in. But
those keyboard warriors right now, they're left, right, center.
All the experts who, no one's given a chance just to work together. It's just too much divide. So I don't really know which way to go and who to think. And I'm not supporting either or, but it's just so messed up that we're actually creating this massive entanglement.
Yeah.
But we don't know what we don't know. So if something's not right or you're not feeling yourself, speak up.
Speak up.
Open up. Yeah. And share it, because if you share, people will care.
Yeah.
That's how I think.
Learn. It doesn't have to be identical. We don't go through identical things, but there's little bits and pieces we can take away that can help us actually fight our own different battles or things we may be struggling to deal with as well.
Well, spot on. And when I've sat down with people, they'll behave with me and vice versa. So I'm not the savior. I mean, I've got issues and I'm going to have issues the rest of my life. But I've gone through things that, okay, think about this, think about that. It could have done this. It might have impacted that. It won't impact that now. Fix this. And I'm thinking, shit, I should have done that for myself. So you're learning in the real time.
Yep.
And that's the library. the life learnings that I think we all get stuck on. We rely so much on written resources and factual evidence. Well, hang on. Some people have written books, have never experienced what they've written about. They've studied it, they've researched it, but they've never felt it.
Yeah.
So when I read a book, I'll engage with. So Aaron, you're going to be a person who's going to help me. If you haven't gone through the experiences or even had feelings that I'm experiencing, I know that I'm hoping you'll just be a person that is going to listen to me. If I know that you're a person that's gone through certain feelings or certain things that I think we can share and not compare but share, I can probably go a little bit more in that direction.
Yeah, that's right.
But the people who read these books that are researched or studied but aren't a true feeling by that author, I struggle with that. Don't think it's right or wrong. I want it real. And if you've gone through it, mate, let's do it. So the more we talk, the more we open up, the more we learn from each other, from real life learning. That's how I see it. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, the word you use, compare. Steer away from compare. Don't compare yourself to others. Learn from each other. That's it. 100%.
If you told me your broken fingernail caused you depression and you're struggling with life right now, I'm not going to say, well, have you lived my life? I would say, Azza, how can I help you through it, mate? I might try and get you to see it from a different perspective, but I'm not going to say, lived in this, or, I hate, there's someone worse off than you. That means because you think that, you won't deal with that because someone's worth. No, you know what? It's okay to feel you're not feeling good about yourself. You're struggling with some things, and you don't need to compare that someone's worse off than you because you will never deal with what you're going through if you have that thought process.
That's right, 100%.
Right? That's what I get struggled with as well. That's why, people don't want to express, people don't want to talk to because they say, oh, there's always someone worse off, or there's people in third world countries. I know that. Yeah. But I still want to feel the way I'm feeling.
That's right. You got to acknowledge it. I think you got to acknowledge your feelings. Don't be, again, it was a big hurdle for me to actually just work up the courage to confront it and sort of put it out there and be vulnerable with it. Those are the things that you so undervalued, and they're only just starting to get the spotlight on those sorts of things now. I think Brene Brown, if people have heard of Brene Brown or read Brene Brown sort of stuff, she's a great reference point on this, the whole concept of being vulnerable and, working with being vulnerable and working up courage to sort of confront things and work through things at the moment. That's getting a real lot of airplay right now. So if you are going through something, that's also a good reference point, I reckon.
And you got reference points, you're never going to know what's right unless you try.
That's right. Exactly.
Unless it's tried, you got no outcome. So, and I reckon if you force it out of you, if you want to feel better, you're going to want to open up. Once you open up, you're going to feel better. You still got a road ahead of you, but you're going to feel better just by opening up because that weight comes out. You then focus on the actual core of the focus you need to focus on. You can take away all the outside noise, but while you're holding it and you're building it, everything is amplified 10 times over. Amplified.
Exactly.
So,
and don't expect to fix everything all at once. That's probably the other thing. Be a bit realistic. It's not going to be fixed all at once, but just start the conversation.
And if in that one conversation, know that don't think I've got it all together. You need to. It's work in progress. It's like setting a goal. The goal's not going to happen by itself. No. It's going to have work involved from the time that you set the goal, from the time you're trying to achieve the goal. It's in between that actually connects the two together.
100%, mate. Couldn't agree more.
How do you feel?
Good chat today, mate. I think we covered some really in-depth sort of stuff there, and I hope it's a big help to our audience. And like you said, through these tough times, and it's incredibly tough. Everyone's in different boats in the same storm. Hopefully we're on our way out of it now very soon. But we always say at the end of this, reach out, you're never a burden. Reach out to someone close to you.
Spot on. Well, we could go more and more, but it's not about our story. It's more about to explain that we felt it. We don't, not that necessarily say we're understanding it, but we feel it. We know that what it's like to feel a certain way. The action that's required to become better, that depends on the severity, the situation, the environment, support platforms, all things. But the thing about a support platform, you actually have it. There are people there who will actually listen.
Yep.
Who will help you try and navigate your way through it. But like as I said, not solve it. Just walk with you through it and be a support platform to find which door is right for you.
Exactly. 100% does.
All right. Well, as that, for me personally, I could talk about many things, but I think we leave it at that and just see. Hopefully, we get again. It's engagement. It's not feel sorry for us. I mean, we do it for a reason. We do it for a purpose. We do it to make a difference, make an impact. But most importantly, having some sort of engagement and some sort of clarity on that. Yeah, people do go through tough times. You're not alone. The burden word, the shame word, the guilty word. Don't feel guilty about struggling with something. Don't feel ashamed of it, and don't feel a burden about it, and don't just feel the regret of not doing what's pretty easy to do once you've done it. I know that sounds crazy. Dipping your toe in the water for half an hour because it's cold. You jump in. You think, I should have done that half an hour ago and I would have got half an hour of swimming in. How much fun would that have been? And that's the analogy I'm going to use is that's how difficult it is to make the decision, but how simple it is once you make the decision. Does that make sense, Az?
Yeah, no, just be brave. Try and be brave. Build up that courage. Be vulnerable. And I promise you good things will happen.
If you're not brave, we will be brave for you.
That's it. Exactly right.
All right, key theme. Stay strong, stay well, stay safe. You are not a burden. Reach out, whichever way that is. It's pretty hard to say my door's open because you're not allowed to come. I can't give you a coffee because you can't come around. But reach out.
You can contact us.
Mm-hmm. Just connect. And people will help. All right, Azar, as always, I love you, love your family. I love the fact that we have no qualms. We spoke about her journey today, but even though we focused on you, we weren't neglecting Beck. That's just
we're good.
That's a story in itself. That's and your little son Paddy, what he saw it all. But love you. Can't wait for next week. We will have a guest next week. We'll announce that maybe sometime next week. For now, it's all about you guys getting through it, fighting through it, and together we'll do it.
Exactly.
See us family out. Love to all. Stay strong, guys.